Hello everybody, this is Angel Ribo, the CEO Confident, and we are here at the with Xpnsion Network, accelerating the consciousness of humanity. We happen to be here in Los Angeles, California, United States, at the Conscious Life Expo, February 2020. And we're really blessed today to have as a guest, Brent Hunter. Hi Brent, how are you?
Hi Angel, good, thank you. Nice to be here with you.
Thank you. So he's an author, he's an executive consultant, and also he's an incredibly spiritual being. So I would like to start the conversation because, you know, among other books, because he's written several books, the one that I would like to bring the attention to the audience today, to you today, is actually the Rainbow Bridge. Because it's actually endorsed by the Dalai Lama, which is a pretty unique thing to do and to have, right?
Thank you.
How did you do it?
Well, it's just some other kind of forces in operation. I just kind of showed up to impart the wisdom. Some amazing people came along and endorsed it. That brought along other amazing people, and there's really, there's something else that's being expressed through me that's not my information or knowledge or wisdom. I'm just the person that's, here having that information, passed on and having the responsibility of sharing this knowledge with others.
You come from a let's say corporate consultant. You're an executive consultant, which means that you work with corporations, with companies on a specific area. So how does a book on, let's say, with a more like a spiritual touch, how does that relate to your corporate life?
Great question. It ties into a subject that I'm deeply passionate about called knowledge management. Knowledge management is the art and science of leveraging the knowledge that we have available to us. And there's a really important concept called the wisdom pyramid. And at the base of the pyramid is data, and then above data in the pyramid is information, which is data put into some kind of context. Above information is knowledge, which is understanding that's gained through experience. And at the top of the pyramid is wisdom, which is the art of knowing, and which leads to greater decisions. And so in the context of business, we now have a way of talking about knowledge management and all of those four layers, including wisdom, in the business context.
So that the audience relates to what you're saying, I mean, obviously a lot of people out there work for corporations. How would you say that today wisdom is being managed inside those companies, if at all?
Yeah, I don't know that wisdom really is being managed, certainly not consciously, to some extent. Of course, we have amazing people in the business world, right? We have amazing people that are awakened, that are in many positions of leadership, and this is very, very exciting. In terms of an actual conscious application of wisdom in the business world, I don't think it's really happening all that much, which is another reason why I'm excited about knowledge management, because it gives us an opening to talk about wisdom and to apply wisdom in the context not only of business, but business does not exist in a vacuum, right? So business exists in the context of partners that we work with, the people that are on our teams, customers, but also the communities in which we serve, and of course the world, the planet that we're all sitting on top of occupying. And so it's all connected, and it's very exciting because it gives a way of talking about wisdom and applying wisdom in the business world. And I believe when we do that, as we continue to do that, the world will shift in a faster and faster and faster kind of way. So again, it's really powerful to be able to talk about wisdom in the context of business. And up until knowledge management, I certainly haven't had any ability to do that. But now that we have knowledge management and wisdom, and particularly universal wisdom, which is the connection to the Rainbow Bridge, because the Rainbow Bridge book illuminates the common ground in the world's major wisdom traditions. And so that's universal wisdom, and that's why I call them universal principles that apply to everyone in every faith and in every non-faith. I have a number of friends who are actually atheists who they have told me that the Rainbow Bridge is one of their favorite books. I mean, that was really eye-opening to me. After they told me and that what their reasons for liking it, it just made a lot of sense. So it's a very, very powerful book, and I think the concept of universal principles and knowledge management and wisdom at this really unique period of time that we're in right now, at this critical juncture in humanity. It's ripe for opportunities.
When we talk about wisdom, do you think that, or what have you seen, or what do you think might happen when corporations became more aware of the wisdom that they can build inside?
Well, right now, organizations typically, unless you're a very unusual corporation that operates in a socially responsible manner, like maybe a B corporation, this one another name that they call them, unless you are operating in that way, you are actually beholden to one rule, which is the financial bottom line. And if you're the CEO of a major, say, publicly held corporation that does not have an explicit kind of compact with the rest of our stakeholders, then all you're ruled by is the financial bottom line. And so I think as more companies start to recognize the value of wisdom, they will be able to operate in a more inclusive manner, in a more conscious way. And as we do this, we'll have greater changes that are taking place in the world. So for example, imagine a network of millions of for-profit companies around the world coming together in the name of unity, in the name of change, in the name of sanity and peace and harmony and collaboration and cooperation. Imagine a network of millions of companies coming together with that coming from a place of deep wisdom and respect and inclusion. Amazing things can happen in the world.
What ignited inside of you? What was that thing that originated you to write the book, the Rainbow Bridge book?
So the genesis of the Rainbow Bridge was actually a business venture called the Park Community. It was the first intentionally global online community, a precursor to places like Facebook and LinkedIn and a lot of the other social networks. It was a time of tremendous change. I started the operation in 1994 and ended the operation in about 2000 or 2001 with about 700,000 members. And so according to today's numbers, that's not a very large number, but back then it was pretty significant. And so I took all of the learnings through that experience and put them together. There's a much longer story about writing notes along the way and meditating and all of that, but at one point I realized that all of these notes that I had taken and all of these powerful principles that had carried me through the rough waters of that business operation and many, many sleepless nights, incredible challenges, that led to the creation of these universal principles, which for me, the whole concept of wisdom has been an important part of my life for very, very early on, because my mother, for example, was born and raised in Turkey, so she's 100% Muslim, so I'm half Muslim. My father was Jewish and Christian, and so I'm kind of half Jewish, but they raised us as Methodist Christians. And so, and my father was interested in meditation from a very, very early age, and he brought me and my two sisters to learn how to do transcendental meditation when I was 12, and so I've been meditating since I was 12. So all these things are, very powerful influences that shaped who I am today. And so for many years I've been thinking, what is religion all about? What is it about? And the Rainbow Bridge represents the common ground. And it gives us a universal language to talk about what is common in all the world's religions and major wisdom traditions. And it allows us to speak the same language without getting caught up in the dogma and the specific detailed teachings. It basically distills the fundamental pith essence, the heart essence of all the major traditions. And so that's the Rainbow Bridge, and that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Absolutely. What do you think if a corporate executive buys a copy of your book and starts reading it, once that person is done with the book, what do you think? What do you think is going to change inside of him, of her?
That's another great question. So the Rainbow Bridge has actually been through 4 editions. And so there's the 4th edition, which is a much larger book, and about half the book talks about the universal principles and how to create this bridge to our own inner peace and to a life of peace and serenity and calmness no matter what's going on around us. And the other half of the book talks about how to use these universal principles to help create a bridge to a world that works for all. And so for some people, they may be more interested in the first part about how it applies to them personally. For other people, they would be very deeply interested in the roadmap to world peace, the 14-point roadmap to world peace that I've laid out. So, but the original collector's edition is a very small book, and you can read it in one sitting. It's very, very powerful. So if you read that, you will have everything you need to know to feel and understand that the commonality that already exists within us. And then if someone reads the Rainbow Bridge 4th edition, there's a whole lot more information. So depending on which version a person would read, it depends on what they will get out of it. In terms of the latest and greatest edition, the 4th edition, of course, there are many ideas for business and how business can actually participate in playing a role in this new kind of awakened society where businesses operate in a different way, governments operate in a different way, where we all see ourselves as one humanity, one global community, one world community. And right now, we don't really tend to see ourselves that way. And I think the Rainbow Bridge can help kind of orient our thinking and feeling to recognize that we are really all in this together. The world that we live in right now, in some ways, is some people could say it's spinning out of control, and in another way we could say, yeah, and at the same time we're in this most amazing place where we have probably the greatest opportunity that humanity has ever seen for coming together, right here and right now. So it's a really exciting time, and I think people in the business world who read it and get exposed to that concept, many people have already told me that, wow, this is what I've been feeling, and now you've put words to what I've been feeling and thinking and dreaming about for years. So I think it can really put people in contact with what is possible for our future, a very positive, exciting, vibrant future of peace and harmony.
What would you say that organizations are going to go through in the future? What do you think would be the difference, the scenario between an organization that has already internalized what you just said and another one that hasn't? Are we talking about changes in profitability? Are we talking about changes in, revenue generation? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's basically one of the most important changes is recognizing that we don't operate in a vacuum. No matter whether you're a for-profit business or a nonprofit entity of any kind or a government agency, whatever you think your mission is, it's more. And so it's really understanding who the stakeholders are and recognizing that the stakeholders are everyone. So when you think about it that way, it's easier to see when in terms of a for-profit business, right? Recognizing that we must care for the environments. We must care for the people that live in all the environments. We must care for the earth. There's all these different things that we need to care about because everything is completely interconnected. Mm-hmm. And so the changes will, I believe, some of the most significant changes will take place in the thinking and recognition that we are completely connected. So partnerships, collaborative ventures, collaborations, deliberately going out of our way to consciously engage other organizations to partner and to find common ground and to do things coming from that place of unity and commonality and focusing on what unites us as opposed to what divides us. Focusing on what divides us is so easy. We don't even have to think about it sometimes. What divides us, we see differences everywhere. That's easy, actually. What's harder is to focus, to deliberately, screen out everything else and just focus on what is common. And when we do that, boy, it's a really inspiring, profound place to come from that can produce amazing positive results.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to disclose something that I haven't said before, and actually he doesn't know, but after reading the Rainbow Bridge, I personally changed my mission and my purpose. Wow. Really. So that's the kind of change. I mean, it's really a very unique piece the Rainbow Bridge. So,
Thank you.
Brent, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure to have
It's been
you.
a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you so much. And again, this is Angel Ribo, the CEO Confident. We are here at the Conscious Life Expo 2020, month of February, and we are at Xpnsion Network, accelerating the consciousness of humanity. Thank you very much for being with us today, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah.